Now, we just showed you the Baroness's letter to Rumble, demanding that they confirm that they will follow in Google's path and cut off Russell Brand's ability to earn a living on the platform. Only the response they got from Rumble was quite different than the one they got from everybody else. And here was that response posted by Chris Pavlovsky. It went very, very viral. Here's what they said, quote, "Today, we received an extremely disturbing letter from a committee chair in the UK Parliament. While Rumble obviously deplores sexual assault, rape, and all serious crimes, and believes that both alleged victims and the accused are entitled to a full and serious investigation, it is vital to note that recent allegations against Russell Brand have nothing to do with content on Rumble's platform. Just yesterday, YouTube announced that, based solely on these media accusations, it was barring Mr. Brand from monetizing his video content. Rumble stands for very different values." I think that's incredibly important to note, that here Rumble is not just claiming they have different corporate values and political values than YouTube, but anyone can claim that. They're standing up in a way that they know is a very risky way to write to a very powerful, though ridiculous, person inside the British government to tell them that, yes, we know that YouTube did exactly what you wanted them to, that they announced based solely on media accusations it was barring Mr. Brand from monetizing his content. Rumble, however, stands for very different values. And this is something that I have been stressing to everybody I can find ever since I came here, as the reason I came here. And I know there's questions, well, how do you know they're really authentic? And in some way, you have to rely on your intuition. I've gotten to know very well the founders and managers of this company. And I've seen them in the past do things like choose to not be in France, as opposed to take orders from the French government when they were told to remove RT and Sputnik and other Russian media, even though the French government has no authority to dictate to Rumble what media outlets they can and can't platform. They chose to prioritize their values of permitting a free internet over their corporate interest of having access to the French market. But here they're doing so in an even more aggressive way, because YouTube just set the example of what everyone can now point to is the act that you're supposed to take regarding Russell Brand, which is cut him off based solely on accusations. And here's Rumble standing up, of infinitely smaller size than Google, obviously, and even YouTube, and saying, we're not going to do that to our creators because we stand for different values. Quote, "We have devoted ourselves to the vital cause of defending a free internet, meaning an internet where no one arbitrarily dictates which ideas can or cannot be heard, or which citizens may or may not be entitled to a platform. We regard it as deeply inappropriate and dangerous that the UK Parliament would attempt to control who is allowed to speak on our platform or to earn a living from doing so. Signaling out an individual and demanding his ban is even more disturbing given the absence of any connection between the allegations and his content on Rumble. We don't agree with the behavior of many Rumble creators, but we refuse to penalize them for actions that have nothing to do with our platform. Although it may be politically and socially easier for Rumble to join a cancel culture mob, doing so would be a violation of our company's values and missions. We emphatically reject the UK Parliament's demands." I don't know how you can be more impressive than that. I have so much respect for people who are willing to stand for a cause when it means that doing so may risk their own self-interest. It was obviously the thing that made me regard Edward Snowden as a hero, that he had no benefit at all from doing what he did. He did it because he believed the public had the right to know the surveillance system under which they were living, and did so knowing that he'd likely go to jail for the rest of his life, and has instead had to spend a much better alternative, but by no means a good one, 10 years in exile in Russia, a country he never chose to be in. Or people like Daniel Ellsberg and Julian Assange, who knowingly stood for their cause and went to prison for doing so. Or a company like Rumble. Last year, interviewed a professional tennis player, Tennis Sandgren, who, despite having some success on the tour, is by no means wealthy, and was somebody who always performed best in Australia. But because Australia required proof of vaccination of the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, to enter, he preferred and chose not to play in Australia, sacrificing not just a lot of money, but a huge part of his career in defense of the principle that he had the right to inject into his body what he decided to inject into his body. People who stand for a principle when it entails actual self-sacrifice is what I respect most. It's so easy to claim that you are some sort of revolutionary fighter for values, go online and post all kinds of symbols and emojis that define who you are. But if that's not accompanied by action, if that's not accompanied by self-sacrifice or risk, to me, those are empty and meaningless words. And they become meaningful only when someone shows they're willing to take risks to their own liberty, to their own interest in order to defend them. And that's what Rumble did here again, and not for the first time. Now, in case you're wondering how much this position resonated here from Reuters, reflecting what every media outlet did, which was report on the remarkable defiance. There you see the headline, quote, Rumble rejects UK lawmakers' call to stop Russell Brand monetization. Quote, online video site Rumble has hit back at concerns raised by British lawmakers about Russell Brand's ability to make money on its site after the comedian actor was accused of a string of sexual assaults. Brand used the Canadian-based platform, where he has 1.42 million followers, to deny the allegations on Saturday, saying he never had non-consensual sex. YouTube said on Tuesday it had blocked him from making money from its channel on the site, which had 6.6 million subscribers. And of course, that's exactly what Rumble said they refused to do, which is follow in YouTube's cowardly footsteps. Now, I think one of the points Rumble made was incredibly interesting, which is there's obviously the due process point. Russell Brand has been convicted of nothing, and we're not going to punish him based solely on unproven accusations. But the other point they made is, let's assume Russell Brand had done some or all of what he's accused of doing. Since when do we expect social media companies to ban people from their site based on things they've done off the site that has nothing to do with how they're using the platform? Is there really an expectation that YouTube, every time somebody is convicted of a crime, tax evasion or embezzlement or assault or trespassing or drug trafficking, is supposed to go and ban that user from their site? Is that now one of the punishments that people suffer when they're convicted of a crime? In addition to going to prison or getting probation, they're now banned from the internet? Since when is that an obligation of tech companies, of social media sites? And in general, since when do we have this principle that tech companies are supposed to evaluate the ethics and morality of somebody's off-platform conduct and then decide whether they are eligible based on how moral of a person they are to be heard on that platform or to earn money from the content that they're creating? This is a fabricated standard that never previously existed and that we do not want to be imposed. We do not want to have this extrajudicial punishment in the hands of massive corporations that have no due process or accountability attached to them, that when we are accused of crimes or convicted of crimes, we now get punished not only through the legal mechanisms set up by the state, but also that corporations start, cutting us off from the financial system, barring us from participating in political debate. These are despotic fabrications concocted out of whole cloth that show you how authoritarian these people are. They're just on this mad frenzy, this inebriated kick of their own power to just finally destroy somebody who they dislike for political reasons, and they're just reaching for anything and everything they can to make the destruction as full scale as possible without any nexus to any kind of legal standard or process of any kind. These are people drunk with despotic power. And this is why they cannot be trusted with this kind of power. No humans can. This is always the outcome. Now, Rumble obviously knew they were going to be attacked for stepping out of line in the way they stepped out of line. They said so in the letter. It would obviously be easy for us to comply and be meek little subservient actors the way that YouTube was, but we're not going to do that. And so the punishment has come fast and furious. In just the time off that we had from the show, the few days that took my body to recover, look at what has happened. First, the Associated Press published a standard but nonetheless deliberately harmful article. There you see the headline: the Republican National Committee's live streaming partner, meaning Rumble, for the GOP debate is a haven for disinformation and extremism. The same terms they always throw around. Now, as we've documented so often, nobody spreads disinformation more than the corporate media. But this is what they'll accuse any site of being the second they show they're not under their control. Oh, it's a vector of hate speech, a vector of disinformation. So you could use ChatGPT to write this article. It's why these journalists are all going to get fired and lose their jobs because of ChatGPT, because what they produce is such predictable formulaic dreck that you don't even need a human brain in order to do it. Quote, the second presidential Republican debate will be broadcast Wednesday on Fox Business Network and Univision, but the exclusive online live stream will take place on Rumble, an alternative video sharing platform that has been criticized for allowing, and at least at times promoting, far-right extremism, bigotry, election disinformation, and conspiracy theories. It's like the ad lib of corporate media to try and malign someone's reputation. By bringing viewers to Rumble to watch the GOP debate, as it did with the first one last month, the RNC is driving potential voters to a site crawling with content, crawling with it like maggots, that flouts the rules of more mainstream ones such as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Do you notice how whenever they want to malign Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, they accuse those sites of being vectors of hate speech and disinformation? But then when they want to malign somebody else, they positively contrast Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as these responsible corporate actors with this other site, this Rumble, that allows all kinds of filth that Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, being the responsible corporate actors that they are, effectively prohibit. Whereas tomorrow they could wake up and decide to accuse Facebook of having blood on their hands for allowing right-wing disinformation and hate speech. There's nothing that they say has any connection to anything objectively real. It's all based on their political needs of the moment. Quote, asked about the criticism against the platform, the RNC said in an emailed statement that, quote, hate, bigotry, and violence is unfortunately prevalent on every social media platform. And the RNC condemns it entirely, but the RNC does not manage content or pages outside of our own. Rumble, founded in 2013, prides itself on being, quote, immune to cancel culture. Its website says, quote, everyone benefits when we have access to more ideas, diverse opinions, and dialogue. That approach has catapulted the site to popularity in recent years as many conservatives have sought alternative social media companies that won't remove their posts or suspend their accounts for false or inflammatory content. The company, which went public in 2022, has been backed by conservative donors such as venture capitalist Peter Thiel and Republican Senator J.D. Vance. It has grown to average 44 million active users per month. By comparison, its closest mainstream cousin, the Google-owned video service YouTube, has billions of monthly logged-in users. Rumble's web traffic is also consistently much higher than that of other right-wing social media platforms such as Truth Social, Gab, or Getter. Yet as Rumble's influence has grown, the platform continues to be overwhelmed by content that denies the result of the 2020 election, pushes bigoted views about race and gender, and encourages harmful conspiracy theories. I don't need to review all the harmful conspiracy theories that AP has pushed over the years to make manifest what a fraudulent and farcical narrative this is. Quote, in the week since the first debate, the site's leadership of top-performing content, which is featured prominently on Rumble's homepage, has regularly included multiple accounts that promote QAnon, a baseless conspiracy theory that has led to violent incidents and deaths. A search for, quote, election on the platform populates videos that falsely claim the so-called deep state cheated in the 2020 presidential election and that the 2024 election already has been rigged. Is it a false claim that the deep state cheated in the 2020 election? Because I actually recall that in the weeks before the 2020 election, the CIA concocted an absolute lie signed by 51 former agents of the intelligence community, that the Hunter Biden laptop should be ignored because it was the byproduct not of authentic material, but Russian disinformation. And that lie was then spread by corporate media outlets, beginning with Natasha Bertrand and Politico, to CNN and every other corporate media outlet practically, ultimately culminating in the censoring of that material by Facebook and by Twitter. Those are irrefutable historical facts that demonstrate that the deep state did in fact interfere illegally or at least improperly through lies in the 2020 election. But of course, if you're not aware of any of those things, or you think that those things are fine, as AP does, since they were part of the media outlets that spread that lie, you're going to see videos claiming that that happened, and you're going to think that's a lie and count it as disinformation, even though it's completely true. Do you see who the spreaders of disinformation really are? An analysis from NewsGuard, a firm that monitors online misinformation, found last year that nearly half the videos suggested by Rumble in response to searches for common election result terms came from untrustworthy sources. Of course, we don't know who NewsGuard is, who funds them, and what credibility they have to make these assessments. Now, as I said, this is just a sort of random attack that corporate media outlets will do anytime a site A, begins to reach large audiences and grow, and B, makes clear that they are not subject to the control of the same masters that these corporate media outlets obey. It's just the automatic attack, not just on media outlets, but on any of us. We spread disinformation and conspiracy theories and hate speech. It's all the same ad libs. But what's going on with Rumble goes far beyond that kind of standard hit piece. Here today from the Times of London, the newspaper that originally spread the allegations against Russell Brand, is a very clear threat. Rumble, the platform hosting Russell Brand, may be forced offline. Forced offline. It's an article about how this new online safety bill, sponsored by the lovely and elevated Baroness of the House of Commons, married to the commander of the Online Propaganda Military Disinformation Battalion, can now be used to force Rumble to be banished from the entire kingdom. The United Kingdom, banished by royal decree, not available any longer in the UK. That's the threat issued from the Times of London, which is a very centrist newspaper. The tabloid The Sun, which is a tabloid but carries a lot of influence, published an even graver threat. Here you see the headline, "Set to tumble? I'm an online expert. Russell Brand's refuge platform Rumble may be forced offline under new internet safety laws." Quote, "The Canada-based platform has come under scrutiny after being used by Brand to share videos as he denies allegations of rape and sexual assault. It now faces being regulated by UK watchdog Ofcom under the new online safety bill, which was approved last week by Parliament and is due to become law next month. Failing to cooperate with Ofcom could put Rumble executives at risk of arrest if visiting Britain, it has been suggested." So within 48 hours, Rumble is a nauseating site full of right-wing extremism, disinformation, and hate speech. Rumble may be banned from the UK for its uppity and defiant behavior, and Rumble executives may be subject to arrest if they even think about trying to enter the UK, absent full compliance with the censorship orders to be issued under this new law. To add a little cherry to that cake, The Guardian this week, along with multiple other outlets, boasted of the success it had in pressuring corporate advertisers to remove their ad money from Rumble, on which Rumble obviously depends. There you see the Guardian headline, quote, "Firms pull ads from Rumble platform over Russell Brand videos. Burger King, ASOS, and HelloFresh remove ads from site in the wake of allegations about the comedian." Quote, "A number of large companies have pulled their advertisements from the video platform Rumble, where Russell Brand broadcasts his weekly show, in the week since allegations of rape and sexual assault against the comedian came to light. The news movement reported on Friday that Burger King, ASOS, and the Barbacoa and HelloFresh, the recipe box delivery service, had removed their ads. Brand has 1.4 million followers on the platform. YouTube suspended Brand's ability to earn money, but Rumble has rejected calls to do the same. On Friday, Brand said the moves to block him from receiving advertised revenue for his videos on social media platforms have occurred, quote, in the context of the online safety bill. Burger King told the news movement it has paused all advertisements while investigating into the allegations were ongoing. ASOS said it has manually removed its ad from Rumble. Barbacoa said it had asked its media agencies to exclude the site from where its ads appear. And then here from the Daily Beast, the American tabloid that is a liberal outlet that loves censorship, also celebrating, quote, Rumble loses advertisers over Russell Brand accusations. So I think it's extremely easy to see what happens here when you're somebody who in any way is a dissident to the prevailing neoliberal power center. Look at the multiple punishments doled out to Rumble that are designed to harm and even destroy every aspect of his business in less than a week for the crime of standing up and saying that it would not punish Russell Brand because he's been convicted of nothing. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.